The 74th Annual Golden Globe Awards were held last night, and we're going to be talking about the biggest moments. This is Screen Junkies News. Hello everyone, I'm Alicia Malone. I'm a little bit tired because the Golden Globes went late last night. But to help me break down some of the biggest moments and to talk about our own personal bet, I have with me Dan Murrell, Roth Cornett, Andy Signor, and watching your tweets, Charlie Feldman. Use the hashtag SJNews if you'd like to join in on the conversation. But let's just start off with our overall impressions of the night. Dan, you've got, Andy, do you want to say something?
I was just saying, how about them La La Land awards last night, right?
Yeah, so Dan, it was really La La Land's sweep. They now have the record for the most amount of Golden Globes for any movie, beating One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Midnight Express, and then Social Network had 5. I think it's only because there's a comedy and musical categories. What do you think?
Probably, and you know, it's we've been talking about it. It's a custom-made awards. I'm glad it's good because it's a custom-made awards show, a movie. It's about actors and Hollywood and movies, but it happens to be a good movie in my opinion. But I could hear the second that it won Best Picture. I could hear the backlash starting of just well, it's not that good. So that might actually backfire on La La Land because now instead of being the sneaky little movie that could, now it's the one that won all the Golden Globes. So I can see the voters just going like, I think I need to teach them a lesson.
Yeah, what do you think, Roth? I mean, when it comes to Oscar time, does Globes have much bearing on?
Traditionally, it's pretty predictive, right? In terms of the actual Best Picture, those are very aligned. But I think you're right. I mean, the difference here, what you hear when you think about last night at the Globes is La La Land broke a record, most wins for a single movie ever, which it is, but it's mostly in the musical or comedy category, which you don't have at the Oscars. So I don't think it'll sweep in quite that way.
Yep.
Once you'll see a little more balance at the Academy Awards.
And you know that I love La La Land, but there's one award that I really don't think it should have won, Andy, Best Screenplay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was, I liked La La Land. I still like La La Land. I've watched it again. I'm not trying to be the backlash. I think it's frustratingly getting a lot of attention where I feel like there were other films this year that deserve some attention is all my sort of comment is. But even, just the opening of the show. Like, he didn't do 5 different movie montages. He did an 8-minute La La Land open. I mean, like, the whole show was La La Land, La La Land. So I could see it either helping the film or, like we said, hurting the film. And I do think, I do think Damien for director is a fair, deserved reward. The screenplay award felt a little like they were really gushing over him.
Yeah, that one was my biggest shock of the night. Well, one of the 2 bigger surprises of the night. I thought Kenneth Lonergan had that locked in for Manchester, and that would be one of the places that Manchester got rewarded for being really one of the greatest films this year. So that took me aback, and I think it took him aback too if you go and look at the footage.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was in the viewing party, and I was tweeting, and I was trying to listen. Everyone was being loud and socializing. Very disrespectful.
Bar,
I was like, shh, I want to hear. Oh, yeah, there's me all glammed up last night. Lots of hair and makeup went into that. But I thought that it was the best director that he was accepting for. And then everyone on Twitter's like, no, it was best screenplay. I was like, really? I was so shocked that he got that one. There were a couple of surprises. Dan, for you, what was the biggest surprise of all?
Well, I think that the one category that we thought was an absolute lock was Mahershala Ali winning for Moonlight. It was the first award of the evening. And it's not so much that Mahershala Ali lost. I think if Jeff Bridges had won, it would have been thought of as an upset. It's the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson, who had no awards buzz coming into the Golden Globes, Michael Shannon, if anybody from that movie was the one that had the supporting awards buzz, won that award. The second biggest shock, I didn't know he was British. I had no idea.
I was going to say, I didn't know he had 4 kids. And someone on Twitter educated me that he's married to the director of 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, she directed him in Nowhere Boy when he was a bit younger. And that's where they met.
Wow.
And she is a much better
we learned a lot about him last night.
We learned a lot about Aaron Taylor Johnson, for sure.
I know, well, the viewing party I was at was Focus Features, so everyone was so excited. They're like, woo! I was personally excited to see Isabelle Huppert win, and I know, Roth, you almost went with her for the Best Actress.
I did. I was kicking myself a little bit because the two things before we made our bet, the two things that I switched Ryan Gosling to Ryan Reynolds, and I didn't go with Isabelle Huppert, who I think, it was very exciting to see her win. They're honoring international and lesser known films. And the best thing that these award shows do is get people to watch films. I loved Aaron Taylor Johnson in Nocturnal Animals. So actually when he got the nomination, I was excited, but I really thought Mahershala Ali would win. Surprised by Kenneth Lonergan. In the TV realm though, I will say this really quickly. I was happily surprised to see Atlanta so rewarded, and I think Donald Glover was too, because he appeared to be entirely unprepared to give it, genuinely shocked that he was winning, and it was so refreshing and wonderful to see.
That's so great. And Andy, when it came to Jimmy Fallon, what's your thoughts overall of him as a host?
I'll say it again, I really liked his open. I think the open was actually really well done, really fantastically directed and put together, and I think probably giving Jimmy Kimmel a lot of pause for, crap, what do I do now for the opening of the Oscars in a month? Because it really was really blew me away.
Those stars,
the style, the stars. It looked as good as that opening. I mean, of La La Land, if not even a little bit more, like he had more money. Like they really threw money at this. So I was impressed with that. After that, though, I lost a little steam. The pinnacle of the night for me was that I wrote a tweet of the day comedy died was when he introduced Jessica Chastain and Eddie Redmayne to Cypress Hill.
Do it.
Chastain and Redmayne. I was like, oh my God. And we were saying to Dan earlier, it's like when we do the Honest Trailer Writers Room, there's always a joke like that just comes out of stupidity.
Yeah.
But we're wise enough to throw it away.
It's something we talk about in Honest Trailer Commentary about. Here's a stupid idea that Joe Starr had that we, thank goodness, we didn't use. Nope.
That dumb joke is good once in a while, but he did go for it. I was not a fan. But it just felt like he was trying to be edgy's sake, because the Globes is traditionally more of a roast in a way.
Exactly. And he's
not that type.
Yay, everyone. I love Hollywood. And I don't know, Dan, what did you think of him as a host? Would you want to see him back again?
Well, the Golden Globes hosts generally, they come out, they do their thing, and then you lose them for about an hour and a half in the middle of the show. Ricky Gervais a little bit would come out a couple more times. I think Tina Fey and Amy Poehler came out a couple more times. But I think the producers and maybe Jimmy Fallon realize that he's not the roast type, and he's going to come out and do Chastain and the Redmayne when he comes on stage. So he did what he needed to do. His monologue wasn't that. It was a standard award show monologue, and he was a very pleasant introducer of people. But
it was just also, that show I think is so fun because it deserves some of the ribbing that the celebrities sort of should be ribbed with. And I feel like even Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, when they did it, did a little of that. But then, of course, Fallon just resorted to Trump, which is sort of the easy way to go, which is ironic of all people who shouldn't be allowed to make fun of Trump. It's Jimmy Fallon. Anyway, so it just felt a little forced and weird to me.
He had the sixth best Trump joke of the night. I mean, the people who won the awards had better Trump jokes than him.
I know a lot of his jokes seemed to fall flat, and it was a really quick awards show in general, I felt. But when it came to the speeches, Ryan Gosling did a beautiful speech. Of course, you have Meryl Streep as well. Roth, what were your thoughts on the speeches?
It's funny because one of the things after Gosling and Viola Davis, who I thought had two great speeches, I was like, maybe the stiffest competition is going to end up being who had the best speech of the night. And then, it was an interesting moment for me was when Tom Hiddleston came out, and I think very well intentioned, was trying to talk about Doctors Without Borders and how they can affect lives just by entertaining people. But it kept going on, and I felt the room going like, well, it's Hiddleston, so we've got to let him go. But I'm not totally sure what's happening here.
It was weird.
That was a weird speech, just like,
and these
amazing people came and thank me for
how great my show is.
How good my show is. And it's like, I get what you're saying, but
no, it was weird.
Like it was well intentioned, but I feel like everybody was like, oh, it's Hiddleston, so yes. But then Meryl came out, and I feel like that will be, and we'll talk about it a little bit, it's going to have a very divisive response. It already has. But it'll be, I think, one of the speeches that goes down in award show history.
Look, absolutely.
Silence in the room, right?
I totally agree, but it's like, regardless of your political beliefs, like she earned her time. She's allowed to say whatever she wants.
She got a Lifetime Achievement
She just won a Lifetime Achievement Award. And, whether he says it or not, she's not overrated. She's very celebrated and very one of the best actors of all time. And she won a Lifetime Achievement Award. She's allowed to say what she wants.
Yeah, 30 Golden Globe nominations.
Do what you want. I thought it was beautiful. So I think the flack is frustrating because it's like, just muted if you don't agree with her.
No, her sentiment I thought was beautiful about power and the use of it responsibly. I think the one thing that she tripped up on that's getting lost is kind of knocking the NFL and mixed martial arts. Is like, that's not art. Like, I could just feel people at home that kind of were with her just going like, oh, because I mean, I get it. The sentiment being like, it's a different kind of entertainment, but it sounded very like, that's not awesome. That's not what she meant, but that's her only trip up is I think that little knock kind of derailed her a little bit and gave people an avenue to kind of not listen to the rest of what she had to say. But yeah, I agree. I think that she's Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
She has license to say what she wants, and you can agree with her, you can not agree.
I wasn't prepared for Viola Davis's setup. My gosh, that was just beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't understand what was happening in an exciting way. I didn't understand what was happening for a minute. I was like, what is she talking about?
Talking about collard greens.
And then when she got there, I'm like, that was amazingly well done.
You can tell she got Meryl choked up.
She did.
That's a feat.
Yeah, and you were with her because you didn't exactly know where she was going. I just want to say about the Meryl speech really quickly. It's funny because when you say that, I actually love the MMA, oddly enough. I find it to be, of all sports, the easiest to follow. That guy's beating the crap out of that guy. I know he's winning because that one's on the floor and he's bleeding everywhere. There was a moment where I was like, well, it's an odd thing, not because it's the MMA, but to knock something else just to make your point.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the total point that she was trying to make was, let's be empathetic. Let's think about other people. Let's use our power wisely. And let's be careful in our world and be compassionate. If you're in a position that you could hurt someone else and you're much more powerful than them, don't bully. And bullying is one of the biggest things that we see online on both sides.
I know.
Well, can we talk about on the opposite side of the spectrum, my second favorite moment of the night, which would be Ryan Reynolds making out with Andrew Garfield in the background of...
I brought a clip because I took a picture. I took a video on Twitter.
In the background of Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
Which even his Emma Stone reacted to
And I love,
because that's his ex. That's her ex.
Yeah.
Blake Lively is just clapping and laughing as well.
We were watching last night, and I couldn't tell who was sitting next to him. I was like, rewind that. It's like, what's going on back there?
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I missed that, but I think it must have been something that they had planned beforehand.
It was well timed. They waited for the live shot.
Perfectly timed.
That must be like, if Gosling wins, we'll make out.
Yeah.
And it's fun moments
Get
like
the
that.
booze flowing, man. That's why the Globes are so
That's what
fun.
makes the Golden Globes such a fun night. The Oscars, you get together and you do a watch party and you tweet, you take notes, and you get ready for very self-serious reflection. The Globes, you cuddle up on the couch with somebody, you sit there and you just enjoy the show because that's what that show is meant to be. It's more of a party. It's not that kind of high stress, filled thing that the Oscars are.
But it wasn't, you know what, oddly enough, though, not enough boozy moments for me at this year's Globes. So I could have used a little more that moment where Goldie Hawn and Amy Schumer were out, I was like, yes. And I'm like, no, it's a bit, goddammit. Like, they're not really drunk, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more mayhem.
The Carell, Kristen Wiig bit was pretty
That was awesome. That was the best bit.
I think that was the funniest part of the night. There was also an awkward hug with Emma Stone that you should look up if you haven't seen it already. That when Damien won, he was giving his girlfriend or his wife a big kiss, and Emma Stone was hugging him at the same time. And then she's like, I'm sorry, that was really weird. And I love her. I think she's great. So getting on to our little bet. So we all made our predictions, and we, none of us got them all right, but one person got a bit more right than everyone else, just one
and
point.
it was Alicia Milano! Congratulations!
Yay. So we'll have my reward coming up in a second, and I expect you all to give me a good speech with champagne. But before that, we'll get on to the loser, which was Andy. Andy had 1 point. So the way it shook out, I had 7 points, Roth had 6, Dan had 5, and Andy with 1 point. That was because at the last
Next year,
minute,
I'm doing it right.
the last minute you changed to Emma Stone, and that gave you the 1 point. So we have
Should have just got a 0.
2 punishments for you. 2 punishments.
0.
Oh, lovely.
The first one is my favorite. I just gotta get it under here.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, you know what it is.
Oh, no.
Vegemite!
Oh, no.
Spoonful of Vegemite. And I know you hate Vegemite, and I love it because I'm Australian. Oh my gosh, this is on really tight.
Did you get water before the show, Andy? I hope you
You've
did.
got your water. You have to do a spoonful of Vegemite. Oh, it smells so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
It's a lot. I gave you a lot.
Man,
Are you ready?
that is a lot. That is a real lot. Oh, God.
Tastes
damn
like it looks.
It doesn't go away either. I can smell it. Oh, God.
It's my favorite.
Don't chew. I learned don't chew. Just
Don't
swallow.
chew. Just,
Don't chew.
just get it away.
I can't believe how much you hate it.
Oh, I can smell it over here.
Oh, I love it. And Ross likes it too.
I do.
Salty, yeasty.
Oh,
Yum.
don't talk about it.
Easy, delicious. All right, we also have a second punishment for you. Ross, you decided that Andy deserved 2 punishments.
Well, he's the boss.
Yeah.
And so we want to give him his due, I think. You know, this is the man running the whole thing. So we're going to have Andy freestyle rap an ode to a movie. And our vote is Green Room. Do you agree, Dan? You could sway us.
Oh, no, I
what's
love that
it?
movie. I know
Yeah.
that he doesn't, so I'm perfectly fine with
So you
that.
get a freestyle
Can I
rap.
get a beat?
Yeah.
I don't know. With these
Green room was so boring. They were stuck in a room too long, and then they died. Spoiler alert! It was boring. Green room.
That's not a very good ode.
You
That's
an
not a very
ode
good
to it
ode,
means you have to
no.
love it.
All right, we'll have to work
Love
on
I
it.
love for how boring it was.
Yeah. All right.
All right, fine.
We'll let you off.
Yeah, we'll let you off the hook.
Oh wait, I got it. Rest in peace, and Yelchin. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
One of the 10 best movies of the
Right.
year.
That is deserved.
That's
You
really
guys-
good. Okay, Dan,
was an
crack
ode.
open the
See, I did it. I
champagne
twisted it.
because...
Me? Are you sure you want me to do it?
Yes, I
Okay.
want you to do it. And my reward is that you have to give me a lovely speech with some champagne.
That's a nice reward.
You gotta
There we go.
tell me how great.
Alicia, you haven't told
I'll
us
pour it, but I
really
won't
much
drink it. My
about
God,
your
it's
experience. What was it like being at the
10:15 in the
Globes?
morning.
Yeah, so I got to go onto the red carpet to do a really quick, like, blink and you miss it thing on NBC Live. But the coolest thing was
Take
just
one down
getting
and pass
that
it around, I
front row seat to the red carpet because I got to sit up on the NBC Live platform and I would watch as all the celebrities came up. I did a little behind the scenes vlog, which I'll put up on my YouTube as well. But it was really fun to be part of the whole thing and just see it all happen in front of me. And then, as I said, I got to see the viewing party, then a bit of the after party, but I was so tired by like 10 p.m. I was dead.
Yeah.
But it was, it was
Were
good
there any
time.
like weird behind the scenes moments?
I think for me, just because we live and breathe film, and so we know all these movies inside out, and we know all the actors. Not so much for me with television, but with definitely film. Just seeing all the different hosts who are doing these broadcasts who maybe aren't as familiar with the films, and so I would be like trying to tell them facts. I would have loved to actually get to ask people questions. But it's interesting to see in the chaos how quickly these hosts have to be prepared for whoever's coming at them.
Yeah,
'Cause
hidden
they have to
fences.
study, and sometimes they get things wrong.
Oh, the hidden fences moment.
Yeah.
Oh God,
So-
y'all.
Fences.
Is that
Twice.
I know
How did that happen
twice?
twice? For
Wait,
those
it
that don't
happened
know,
twice? It
Jenna
happened
Bush
twice.
and Michael
Michael
Keaton
Keaton.
Michael
both said it
Keaton.
live.
Yeah.
Ugh.
How did that happen?
I
That's
know.
going to be one of the
Mistakes
bigger
happen,
things.
I get it.
All
but
right,
that was weird.
here we go for my toast. So, Andy, do you want to start? Toast to me.
To my favorite Australian ever. She's so smart and so intelligent about film. It puts me to shame.
Hey, thank you, Roth.
In all sincerity, it has been my great honor and pleasure to know you, Alicia Malone, lo these many years. There's not that many, but still. You are not only one of the most intelligent humans I know, accomplished, self-starting, ambitious in the best possible way,
So sweet.
generous, kind, loving, with an eye to doing the best you can in your own life and in the world, and completely inspirationally authentic in every way. I adore you, I adore you, I adore you. That's all true.
Thank you. Now, Dan, you
yeah.
got to pick that.
Alicia Malone. I've never known anyone who looks so much like Mary Jane Watson but knew less about Spider-Man. That's okay. That's all right, because a lot of people in this building are fans and know a lot about movies, but you are the biggest film fan in this building. You always will be. You know more about so many things, and I honor you as a picker of winners and as an educator of movies. And keep doing what you're doing,
thank you.
because you have a lot that people need to know. Not just about superhero movies, but about movies and film in general, and not just ones made in the last 10 years. And that's
thank
important for people to know, and I love that you keep that tradition alive and you want to keep the spirit of those old movies alive. It's very
You're
Thank you
here.
so
As long as you'll do it.
much.
You're
appreciate
invited
it.
here to do that as much as you want.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you. I'd like to thank Screen Junkies. I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to thank my dad. But Charlie, why don't we go to you and tell me about what's happening on Twitter?
First off, you inspire me. I'm so excited for your book, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you so much.
And the freestyle rap, it's no Chastain in the red mane, but I think it did pretty well.
Oh.
Nice burn.
So not a lot of talk on Twitter. We have a couple of fact things. Sam Taylor Wood, now Sam Taylor Johnson, is the director of Nowhere Boy. And I have a question for you guys.
Wait, I'm confused.
Oh,
Nowhere Boy, the
we just didn't say her
director,
name.
who is the wife of Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh, you're just saying
Sam
her
Taylor
name.
Johnson. Yes.
Thank you for saying the human being's name.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
That's
not
what I
just
wanted
the
to
She's
know.
not the director. Good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And he's Aaron Taylor Johnson, so I assume he took the Taylor part because
He
that
did.
is not
They
what-
both
Yeah, they-
hyphenated
like that.
names. Yeah.
Sweet.
So I want to know from you guys, who's a lock now? Is Emma Stone a lock? Is Casey Affleck a lock? What are the Oscar predictions from the table?
Well, if the
It's like
Oscars won a great Best
Casey,
Actor
maybe?
speech, then Casey Affleck shouldn't be a lot.
I know.
Oh, energy.
I think
Mr.
out
Affleck.
of all of them, probably Casey Affleck is the lock because Emma Stone will be up against the drama. You know, dramatic actors. So
Who
knows?
Casey Affleck still has some. I can't count Denzel out yet.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
it's hard to say.
Other than
I think it's La La Land.
I'm not sure.
For Best
Moonlight.
Picture.
I think La La Land's going to
Really
sweep
not
it again.
sure.
I think if I was going to pick one lock, it'd probably be Damien Chazelle.
I would say that too. If
the
I
Oscars.
the one that I think will probably take it all the way is him. The other ones I think at this point could go a number of different places for a variety of different reasons, including Casey Affleck, and we'll maybe talk about that another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, Roth, Andy, Charlie, thank you all so much for my lovely speeches and for joining me today. If you'd like more Screen Junkies news goodness, go over here and click and then go and subscribe and like and comment and do all that stuff and follow us on Twitter at SJ News. We'll see you soon.